Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacy and Phil Thompson.
And welcome, everybody, once again to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.
Hi, my name is Steve Lacy.
And I'm Phil Thompson. It's good to be with you again on a wonderful day here in Tucson, Arizona. It's wintertime, and it's going to be like in the 60s today, right, Steve?
Yeah, it's a cooler day for us.
And all our friends back east or whatever are dealing with 8 inches of snow. So anyhow, we are a tech company. We're a tech company, JSL Solutions. We bring streamingchurch.tv, which is streaming video.
Church App Live and myflock.com.
And what is Church App Live?
It's mobile apps for ministries.
Okay, good. Glad you know that. I always try to stump him every time, but he knows what that is. Probably because he designed it. All right, so today we have a guest.
Yes. And the guest is Andrew, what's his?
Haley.
Haley, yeah. Phil takes all the notes beforehand, and then he asked me to respond.
Exactly. So Andrew Haley is with us. He is from a product that does streaming video called Wirecast. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me. Hi, Steve.
Hey.
We're glad you're here, and actually the company, the technical company is Telestream. Is that right? The technical name, the parent company, is that called Telestream?
Right. The Telestream LLC, and one of our products and brands is Wirecast, our live streaming and production software.
And that's what we want to talk to you about today, because obviously, as you heard the intro, one of our main things is doing streaming video. We're streamingchurch.tv, and we work with lots of churches all over globally, and Wirecast is a product that we have recommended. And so thanks for spending some time with us. We actually had some behind-the-scenes technical difficulties here, and so thanks for your patience, Andrew.
Oh, of course. I wouldn't be in this business if I wasn't very familiar with the technical problems that come along with live streaming and video.
Yeah, we're usually on the other end of it, trying to calm down the ministry or the customer, saying, okay, it's going to be all right. Look, we can walk you through this. And this time we were the ones.
We were panicking here. So anyhow.
Equipment not working.
But that was just podcast equipment.
Yes.
Our streaming servers work great. All right, so Andrew, thanks again for being here. So let's talk a little bit about Wirecast. Can you give us, with just a few minutes here, just a quick little snapshot for maybe some people that have maybe heard of Wirecast but haven't used it? Tell us, what is Wirecast if I've never run across it before listening to this podcast?
Yeah, sure. Wirecast is a software that Telestream makes for both the Mac or PC, and it will turn your computer into a television studio. Basically, I like to say it gives you all the, most of the powers of a major broadcasting, studio like CNN or, ESPN, and you can switch cameras, you can add titles, you can add graphics, you can, add multiple tracks of music and audio and microphones. You're basically a live mixing studio on your computer, and then what you do with that content and where you distribute it to is really up to you. You can record it to a file on your hard drive. You can output it locally to a television screen or another monitor. You could stream it out to Facebook or YouTube or to streamingchurch.tv. There's just any number of options that you want. You can do all of those things at the same time if you like, if your computer and your internet connection allow you to do that. So it's just very flexible, very versatile software, meant to create and add value to any live production. And we have people use it for just audio, and other people that use it for video, audio, graphics, and everything in between. And the nice thing is that when you walk away, you have a nicely mixed production that you kind of did on the fly. You edited all that as you went along, rather than have to record everything first and load it up after the fact into an editor or like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere or an audio editor, where you chop it all together and then upload it later, which obviously that has some advantages. But one thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't usually save you time. And so producing things on the fly with a live mixing software like Wirecast can really save a lot of time and give you fantastic results that your audience can see almost in real time.
Awesome. So, and how long has Wirecast has been around? They're kind of the, I don't know if they're the pioneer, but they're the most popular product in this category. How long has Wirecast been on the market and available?
Yeah, we're kind of an elder statesman in the live video streaming world. Wirecast has been around since 2004. And it was written originally just to stream to the internet back when that was very new and difficult to do. And it's come a long way. Telestream acquired and bought the rights to the software in 2008, and we've been publishing it ever since. And a lot of the original designers and developers, it was a two-man team, actually came on board and still work at Telestream and help move the product further and farther forward.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So you have the original founders and authors of the software that are a part of Telestream, and they're still, I guess, helping manage improvements and forecasting the future of it as well. Huh?
Yeah, they're a really smart couple of guys, Simon and Paul, and they also wrote another piece of software that we made called ScreenFlow, which is a Apple Design winner and is a sort of a non-linear editor, kind of like a better version of iMovie for your Mac. So it's a really easy screen recorder and screencasting software. So yeah, between the two of them, we've had some fantastic products that we're really proud of here at Telestream. They've won a lot of awards.
Right. So our audience is primarily, ministries and pastors and that sort of thing. They're either been streaming for a while or they're just getting into it. And so Wirecast is an option there for an encoder, and it basically, fits between your cameras and your video sources and the internet destination for your stream. Is it primarily ministries that are using Wirecast, or is there others? I guess there's others as well. Yeah,
one thing about live video is that it's really as varied and there's as many different things to do with it and different types of content to stream as there are people with ideas and interests. So we see a lot of churches and houses of worship streaming sermons and services and getting the message out, even special events like weddings or funerals or baptisms and so forth. They use Wirecast every week and sometimes multiple times during the week to stream out their content. But of course we see similar types of output from schools in both the K through 12 to the higher education and colleges and universities, streaming out classes and sports and special activities, graduations and things like that. We also see it being used in government, city council meetings. We've seen it used in the White House. We've seen it used on the campaign trail. We've seen it used at even just the district level for school districts. And then hobbyists and marketers and brands will often use it in as a way to market or talk about their products or services and connect with their audience or their fans. Musicians and live event specialists will use it to stream, concerts and conferences and so forth. So it's really anything where live might be important, where you really need to connect and do a nice job in producing a live video event or stream is where you'll typically find Wirecast or something like it.
So Andrew, when let's say I'm a pastor listening to this, or maybe a worship leader at my local church, and I've done a little streaming video. I've used things like OBS, open source, open
Flash Media
broadcasters
Live
studio.
encoder.
Yeah, Flash Media Live encoder from the good old days.
Right.
We've already kind of talked about the advantages of Wirecast. You can do some switching and all that. But let's say what can I put Wirecast on? So I've got this computer I've had for 3 years. Do I need, what's kind of the specs, that I would need to have a healthy computer so I could actually do this well?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get that all the time. We actually have minimum system recommendations on the Telestream website. If you go to telestream.net/Wirecast, you can find specs and recommendations. You can also call us up and talk to us. We have people who answer that question every day and work with customers and people who are looking at Wirecast. And the answer is it varies depending on what they need to do, how many cameras they want to connect, and the types of things they want to capture or encode or stream or produce on their computer. But generally speaking, as a general rule of thumb, I recommend at least a quad-core computer, quad-core i7 processor or CPU. I recommend at least 8 gigabytes of RAM in memory. And then it's always nice to have a good graphics card, like an NVIDIA GeForce card made in the last few years, with at least about a gigabyte of video memory. So if you kind of hit those basic specs, you should be able to do most of what you need when it comes to live video production and live video streaming. A lot of people don't realize how resource intensive video and video encoding is on a system, on a computer. Right. As powerful as computers have gotten, the amount of data that we can capture through video and through media sources has only grown as cameras have gotten better, and lenses and all that, and sensors, everything's gotten better as well. So we continue to fill that pipe as much as possible, and that puts a lot of work and stress on computers, and they can do a fantastic job, but just I think people often don't realize just how much work it takes to encode thousands and thousands of pixels in a single frame of a single image in video, which are then coming every at 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second in some cases.
Yeah, and we deal with ministries, and actually was just talking to a church yesterday, and they're saying, well, I want to send out multiple bit rates so that everybody can get the stream on all their different devices, and I want to send it to Facebook, and I want to send it to YouTube at the same time. And then they're asking the question, what is this gonna? How well is it? They assume that
and
it's somewhat of
record it too, probably.
Yeah, and record it. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And record it.
And was kind of throwing the caution out there that you need to watch your CPU levels as you add more and more load, because sending 2 streams is twice as much work as one, right?
Right, and then of course you aren't even factoring in your upload speed of your internet connection,
right?
Because if your internet connection is DSL or a lot of America is kind of behind when it comes to our internet connections. We rank pretty low on the world average when it comes to sort of the developed countries, and so your average internet speed is not particularly high, and when it comes to upload speed, it's even lower. And upload speed is what really matters when you're streaming out all the. Right. So even if you have the most powerful computer in the world, your stream's not going to go anywhere if your internet connection is 500 kilobits per second upload or something like that.
Right.
So in the event of people who like to stream to multiple destinations, Wirecast can absolutely do that. Again, if your CPU resources will allow it, if your graphics card and everything can handle all that, then and then if your internet connection is great. But if your internet connection is not great, then we recommend you stream one high quality stream and maybe record a local copy on your hard drive just for backup, and then go to stream it out to directly to one point, and often from there you can send it to other places. So I'm not sure if churchstreaming.tv TV also allows, you'll have to fill me in here, if it also allows you to stream to other destinations. Is that a service you guys offer?
Streamingchurch.tv, yeah.
Streamingchurch.tv.
Yeah, those are the other guys, but let's not go there. Yeah, we do.
You can edit that out.
Yeah, and here's something else, jumping off, a little bit off subject. I have had some churches that we work with that actually have a hardware switcher upstream from Wirecast, and they seem to like that, even though Wirecast obviously does switching. A lot of these guys, and what's your thoughts on this? A lot of these guys will do switching with a hardware switcher, like ATM, Blackmagic ATEM, I guess is what it is, and they seem to like that. I'm sure you've run across that, right?
Right, we see that that's really common. So a lot of Wirecast users will have an upstream hardware switcher, which just is a great solution. It takes some of the load off of your system, your computer, and then you can have Wirecast focus on just the encoding and the streaming piece without having to add all the extra stress of the production and processing all the camera signals and switching and running transitions. You can do all that upstream on a hardware switcher, and then just send one single final feed it to your system, your capture card on your Wirecast computer, and then from there, if you need to add a graphic or a title card or some music, you can always add a couple other elements if it was difficult or not possible to do up in the switcher.
Yeah. I think we lost. There you are. Kind of losing you a little bit, but I think we got the gist of that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, am I fading out?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It's the internet, so. Yeah, we just mentioned that. So let me just kind of throw, and you may not be able to answer this, but what's the future hold? We're talking streaming video here, we're talking live encoding. What's your thoughts on the future of all this stuff?
There's some new. I'm just visiting your website and talking with other people. There's some new things that Wirecast just introduced recently, right? Some features. I saw the NDI and the IP based stuff. Tell us a little bit, what is that and how does that work?
Yeah, so one of the great things we just did with Wirecast 8 is we moved to a subscription model. So now anyone with Wirecast 8 or later will get all the new features and all the product updates for free throughout the year, as long as they're current on their subscription. So it doesn't matter how many versions we release and how many updates or features we get out there, as long as they're current on a subscription, they will get those, and they'll always have the latest version of Wirecast. So I think it's just $99 a year after you have purchased at least version 8 or an upgrade to version 8.
Oh, okay.
That was one of our questions we were going to get to you, and that was, let's say I have Wirecast 6.2 or something, and I want to upgrade something. Do I got to pay for an update?
Well, Phil and I had an inside bet here that that there are some updates, but then when you do a major upgrade, you got to pay for the upgrades, right? So I could go from 6.21 to 6.22.
So if you have Wirecast 8 and we release Wirecast 9 or 10 in the year that you're current on your subscription, you get Wirecast 9, you get Wirecast 10 as part of your subscription. And then when that year is up, you would still have your license to whatever it was the last version you had. And then if you renew your subscription for, I think, $99 a year, which is like $8 a month, it's like less than a Netflix subscription, you will then get Wirecast 10, 11, 12, and so forth.
Okay.
So technically I'm right. I win the bet. Is that right?
I think it sounds like you win the bet.
No, he doesn't win the bet.
Now, the only catch there is obviously you need to upgrade to 8 first. So you do have to buy an upgrade at some point or purchase the product as a base in order to get on that subscription track. But we found that we kept doing these $200 or $300 upgrades about every year, and we would always release 10 features, a huge release with all these new features and things, and people had to not only wait a year or a year and a half to get all these features, and then they got them all at once, but they were also having to pay $200 or $300 a year basically.
Yeah.
And we figured we could do a win-win where our customers could pay less, $99 a year, and we could release features as they were developed, so we could get them out sooner and make sure that they were, adjust them or work on them, rather than wait, a whole year and a half and force a big upgrade. So it was just, we could release things faster, people could get better features faster, and they wouldn't have to pay as much.
All right, that's great. Awesome. So the thing that jumped out at me was I thought there was the ability to add new sources to your stream, where I can go that Wirecast talks to more devices on my network, or maybe I'll just tell us about that, or maybe I misread some things.
I mean, we're constantly looking at the current. Our development team's constantly looking at the current sort of state of the market and the types of devices that are popular and the types of protocols that they're using, and determining the best way to get them to communicate with Wirecast. So popular ones you've seen, like NDI,
right,
Network Device Interface Protocol, that's open source, that was released by Newtek a couple years ago, has become a very popular and common protocol for video devices to communicate on your network. So we quickly added that into Wirecast a few versions ago, and then we added the ability to go the other direction, so now Wirecast can broadcast on your network as an NDI device, so other software or other devices on the network can pick up a Wirecast signal if they need it. And we added things like on Mac, there's a similar thing to NDI called Siphon. And Siphon is used by a lot of worship, houses of worship software, like Easy Worship and Pro Presenter. You can basically communicate, and I think some of those sort of presentation softwares are also beginning to implement NDI as well. So if you need Wirecast to communicate with your presentation software, then we've got the protocols in Wirecast to help you do it across your network very easily.
And stick it as a lower third or whatever I needed to, and have the right fonts and colors and all that sort of thing. Well,
exactly. If you want to send slides or from the presentation software back, or music, or you want to send the video and the cameras from Wirecast over to the presentation software, I mean, you've got that two-way communication that you can do now. And then we've added other things, like recently in the 8.2 release, which we just released, we added the ability to control Wirecast with certain MIDI controllers. So now you've got a really great control interface or control surface that you can hook up and more quickly switch shots and produce with Wirecast. And then we also added a local Wi-Fi camera source from our free iOS app called Wirecast Go.
Wow, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
That would be, So a church could add a Wi-Fi camera, a Wi-Fi based camera, and then connect up to it.
Yeah, if they have an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod that can run the latest versions of the iOS operating system, they can download Wirecast Go from the Apple App Store and hook it up as a local Wi-Fi camera that Wirecast can see and detect, and you can switch to and cut into your shots. So it's great for mobile cameras, and we've seen a lot of churches use that. In the past, it was a separate app called Wirecast Cam, but we've got rid of that one. It was only a 32-bit app, and we rolled that functionality into our mobile app called Wirecast Go.
Super awesome. So I've just got a couple of minutes left here, but let's get to the all-important question is, if I want to buy Wirecast, it used to be you guys had at least two packages or whatever you want to call it, but tell us what's the price to get Wirecast?
Yeah, so we're having a crazy sale right now. Our holiday sale just kicked off, and so right now you can pick up a copy of Wirecast Pro for about $600. we're having a 30% off sale at telestream.net. We are also selling the studio version, and you can find that has most of the features of Pro, but certain things like NDI output, some of the more professional types of sources don't come with it. The ability to go into that software that starts around usually about $700, and we've lowered that by obviously the 30% off, so you can get that at a great discount. And then for we also offer this third version called Wirecast Gear, which is an all-in-one hardware and capture card system that has Wirecast preloaded onto it, Wirecast Pro already loaded onto it. So that one starts at about $5,000, and so yeah, you kind of pick the price entry point that works for you. You can buy just the software, starting with our cheapest version, the Wirecast Studio software. And then you can go up to the Pro software at any time, or buy it outright. That's the $1,000 software version. Or if you need not just the software, you need the capture card, you need a really powerful computer. We talked about what sort of computer to run this on, right. And you need all that all rolled in and ready to go, just out of the box. Then you should look into the Wirecast Gear solution, which is a fantastic turnkey system that a lot of churches just pull out of the box and put into their back room, and they use that to run all of their switching and production.
And how long is the holiday? I mean, what's the cutoff date for the holiday special to end?
Oh, it's a good question. I think it's going to the end of the year, but let me just pull it up here on my website.
Because we'll try to get this podcast.
Yeah, it's going to the end of the year, so December 31st. So you have about 10 days here to take advantage of it.
At the time of this recording, so
yeah, at the time of this recording.
We'll try to get it up pretty quick here. So, awesome.
So some churches that are just getting into streaming, are there? I would assume that the studio version fits the bill rather well. Do you have a lot of ministries that move up to the Pro, or do most people stick around in the studio? What would be your recommendation there?
Well, there's only a $200 difference between the two, and so in a lot of ways, if the Pro version has some features you're wanting, it's not too big of a jump just to go to the Pro, and so it depends on if you need the features that it comes with. And you can find the differences at our website at telestream.net /Wirecast. But if there's a chart that you can check, but just real quickly, it will depend on what you need to do with it. In general, Studio can give you most of the functionality. It'll give you a lot of the stuff, like the destinations are built in, like Streaming Church is a built-in destination. It gives you the unlimited amount of cameras that you want to connect. That's we don't limit you on the number of sources you can add or the number of layers you can put in the shots. But if you need some slightly more advanced features like Pro audio mixing, you want to be able to output different audio tracks to different files or to different destinations, then that's only available in the Pro version of the software. If you have a really fancy Pro mixing board and you want to connect it through a high quality audio protocol like Wasapi audio or Osio, then you would need, and actually I think Wasapi is the general one, I think it's Osio is the more professional standard, then you would connect that to the Wirecast Pro software. It wouldn't connect through Osio or through that format in the Studio software. There's other things like virtual sets and virtual backgrounds that aren't possible in the Studio version. As we mentioned, the NDI output is not possible in Studio, and then the program output through like a local card, you can actually push out your program video and audio through a Blackmagic card or an AJA card. That is not possible in the Studio version. It's only in the Pro. And the final thing would be the ISO recording. So if you want to record each camera into its own file individually for later editing or just archiving, that's possible in the only in the Pro version. And so there's a couple other things, but that's kind of the general difference.
Yeah. Oh, super. Lots of nice features there. Okay. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But you can, if you need more information on Wirecast, folks, just go to telestream.net/Wirecast. Normally, I can just usually Google Wirecast, and you'll take me to the Telestream site. And Andrew Haley has been our guest. He's the product marketing manager. And if people want to get a hold of you, they can certainly just send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv. Is there something else you want to throw out there as far as contact?
Yeah,
if somebody wants to
absolutely.
Talk to you?
So you can tweet at us at @Wirecast, and if you have questions, we'd be happy to answer those there. You can also email me at andrewhaley@telestream.net, and then you can also go to our website. We have a contact information there. And I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. It was great to be here.
Hey, well, thank you. We will definitely do it again in the near future. Hopefully a little more smoother. Again, nobody knows this, but we were pulling our hair out before we got you on here. But, you know that. So yeah, Andrew, thanks. We really do appreciate it. So,
thanks for having me. It's my pleasure. And happy holidays.
Yeah, you too. So we're out of time. So my guest, Andrew Haley, from Telestream/Wirecast, and the guy across the table from me is Steve Lacy. I'm Phil Thompson, and we definitely echo what Andrew just said. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody, and thanks for joining us on this podcast. Stay tuned next time for another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast. We will catch you again next time. Take care.